are a black race. They look like African Americans.
Let him cook. Let him cook.
When it touched the ground, it created an earthquake like about a 3.5 to 4.0. It terrified everybody in the area. The back of this craft opened up, and several hundred young men with huge, heavy weapons came out of two sides of the ship and formed a protection line around the ship. And the people at that Air Force base, the commander, had a meeting with the individuals that were aboard this ship. And this particular race that landed those ships and that are seen in these huge cigar-shaped ships, they are a black race. They look like African Americans. They were about 6'4", 6'5". These tight-fitting black leather outfits on, and the weapons that they came out of the ships with, they were huge.
Look at that, girl. Look at that, Harry. See it?
Boom.
It's falling from the sky, like it came out of space. Where'd it go? Where's the... It dropped. OMG, it's people out there looking. Where'd it go? I heard a loud crash. Wow.
Yep, and guess who's following behind it? You guessed it. And they ain't just bring out any type of planes. Those were F-22s. You feel me? F-22s ain't no joke, y'all.
The Anunnaki. That's the name of the beings that, according to the ancient texts, came from heaven to earth. In the Egyptian culture, they call them the Natiru. And they said they came to earth and turned mud into a kingdom. In the Bible, they call them the Anak. They have these names in all different cultures. They all show up around the same time in every culture. And I started finding more instances of them in every culture I looked into around the same time period. And I go, these people really came here at some point in the distant past. It seems to be now around 450,000 years ago they arrived. And about 200,000 years ago, according to the text, not me, they started genetically tinkering with human beings, saying they were adding their essence to them to get us to do the labor for them. So around 200,000 years ago, these beings had created this mating farm, this mating laboratory called Eden. And Lil was known as the Lord. He was known as Satan, the Lord of Eden. Satan, the Lord of Eden. Satan. You wonder where that came from? Yeah, he's Satan. The snake that was in the garden was his brother, Enki. Enki came with the knowledge to Adam and Eve and told them that they were stronger and bigger and brighter, and that when he did the genetic tinkering, that he put a little extra in them, that one day in the future they would be able to tap back into it, and they themselves could rise higher than the Anunnaki. And his brother found out about this and started calling him the devil. And that information is in the myth of Adapa, which is another incredible ancient text.
As the plane soared above an unfamiliar region in China, a passenger gazed out of the window, capturing a captivating video. A sense of awe and curiosity filled the air as the passenger's camera focused on a peculiar sight. A disc-shaped object, about the size of a small car, effortlessly gliding in parallel to the airplane, near one of its wings. The crispness of the video allowed the viewer to perceive the details of the disc distinctly. As seconds passed, an intriguing occurrence took place. The mysterious object seemed to activate a device of some sort, creating a mesmerizing effect. Space and time itself appeared to fold around the disc, as if the laws of physics were being bent to its will. The passenger's video captured the surreal moment in all its glory, a testament to an encounter that defied conventional understanding. As the object sped away from the aircraft, its velocity accelerated to a staggering 24,000 miles per hour, leaving an indelible impression on the mind of the witness.
If you're going to go deep in the rabbit hole, there's like the grays that everybody talks about, and then there's another thing called the tall whites. The people have described them, they almost look like Scandinavian or something like that, like pale skin. Some alien life is probably, 500,000 years ahead of us, 700,000 years ahead of us, 1,000,000 years ahead of us. But some alien life is probably millions and millions of years ahead of us. They probably don't want to fuck with us anymore. But I bet that intelligence reaches that moment where you can join the intergalactic hive of minds. And the civilization reaches some insane harmony with the very universe itself.
Right.
That's probably where it goes if you don't blow yourself up.
Lights spotted in the sky in Middletown. WCPO 9 received videos from viewers who wanted to know what they were. WCPO 9 News reporter Taylor Nimmo has been trying to find the answers for us. She joins us live from Middletown. Taylor, what's going on?
Yeah, Kristen, we had multiple viewers reach out to us after they say they spotted those rotating green lights in the sky. Now, Caden Little of Middletown reached out and he tells us he saw the lights around 10:30 or 11 last night. And take a look at this video he sent us. You can see a ring of bright green lights rotating in the sky, and another video taken by Bryce Garrick also shows those lights. And then all of a sudden, you can see the lights will quickly zoom off to the left of your screen, and then they just disappear. Now, Little says it appeared to be much larger than a drone.
And it looked like something I'd never seen before at all. Like, I had seen drones fly before, and this was not like any type of drone. The way it moved and how fast it could like take off, I'd never seen anything like it. A bunch of people stayed around recording because people were like terrified.
We've been trying to get you some answers, so we reached out to local law enforcement, and Butler County Dispatch said they didn't know what it was. Brian Simpson, he's the president of the Astronomical Society in Cincinnati. He also has weighed in. He said how quickly the lights sped off was way too fast to be a drone in his opinion. And Simpson said the real question is, are these videos real? He says the real test of authenticity is if you get many reports of this same event, and he said he'd like to see at least 20 of these videos. And he says nowadays it's really easy to fake these type of videos with things like TikTok and editing softwares. But Simpson told us he is looking into it, and we're expecting to get an update from him later on today. So whenever we hear from him, we'll be sure to bring that to you. And if you do have a video of those lights, if you saw it in Middletown or anywhere else across the tri-state, please be sure to share those with us as well. Reporting live from Middletown, Taylor Nimmo, WCPO 9 News.
Yeah, get those videos.
I'm just gonna be real with y'all. I ain't gonna hit you with a bunch of cap. Oh yeah, that's definitely up there. It's real, for sure. I've seen something like this before.
UFO.
Oh my God, is that UFO stuff? Wait.
Weird.
I can't even get it on my fucking
Dropping
camera.
one.
Is that UFO stuff? Oh my God, I can see a little bit. Oh my God, what the hell is that?
Boom, dropped another one.
Oh my God. I don't want to get that close.
3.
Oh shit. You think that's...
I'm corny.
Oh my God.
Boom, drop another one.
What's that, Chinese lantern? Oh my God, that's scary. Oh my God, I'm gonna move back. I'm gonna get behind you guys. Hold on. I can't really...
See it?
Is that it?
Another one.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, there's lots. Some of them are all in the corner.
Oh my God, okay, I see something, some little dog. Oh my God, I never seen something like that before.
You see the spaceship on the side?
Oh my God, look at that shit on camera. I saw. Oh, you're bad. You're so bad. Oh.
So, what's the name?
Oh my God, what's that
again?
UFO? You think that's UFO?
Oh, that's crazy.
Oh my God, that's sick.
Here.
Oh my God. I want to get close. Right there. Oh shit, let me get right here. Oh my, I don't know.
What one's this
Let me
big?
see. Oh my God, look at that.
Oh, look at them there.
Oh my God. Oh my God, that's crazy. I can't, oh my God, my camera's not really that good. It's orange. Oh my God.
Oh, Hey, you know what's crazy on the news? They said it's a mothership coming, right? Remember that? They said the mothership is coming and it's going to drop smaller vessels.
They said one of the main reasons Atlantis had to go down was because they were going against the laws of nature. They were experimenting by combining animals and human. Your legends of the half man, half animals, they don't come from Greece. They came from Atlantis. They were handed down into the Greek legends, but they started with Atlantis. The centaurs, the half man, half horse, the half man, half bull, all of these were experiments that the Atlanteans were doing. And a lot of it was done, they made servants out of them, slaves, and used them in different things like that. But they said they were disobeying the laws of nature. You're not supposed to fool around with things like that. It was one of the main reasons that Atlantis had to go down. They said the one reason you have to know this is because your own civilization is doing the same thing. We're fast approaching that point where this cannot be allowed, the line has to be drawn. Some of you probably know about where they're introducing the human cells into the pigs so they can use the pig organs to transplant into the human body. Because the human body will reject something that is foreign, but it won't reject it if it has human cells, and that was the logic behind the whole thing. But there was one scientist who said, I don't think this is safe, because sure, you can eat pork, you can handle pigs, but what would happen if you put the organ in the human body and the blood was flowing through that constantly? He said, we could create a disease that there would be no cure for. And he said, you better take it slow here and really look at this. So they stopped the experimentation for a little while. But then they said, oh, I don't think it'll happen, so now they're doing it again. And they told me, you're going down the wrong way, you're headed down the same road of destruction that all the other ones have gone down. But in the case of Atlantis, a lot of it had to do with the crystals, too. They were using too much crystal power. They ended up making holes in the ozone layer that let the sun come through and was burning part. This is how some of the deserts were formed in the world. They were also creating too much power that the Earth couldn't handle it. So they said this had to be stopped. It had gone too far. This is the explanation for the Bermuda Triangle. That was part of the original Atlantis. And if you can picture this, on that point there was a temple, and they did time travel and time experimentation, going back and forth, and there was a temple that used crystals that they could open and close portals so they could travel through time. But when the Atlantis went down, that temple was destroyed, and the machines there were partially destroyed. So they're still firing in an erratic fashion. And this is why, if ships or planes happen to be in the area and it would just shoot upward through the water, it causes them to be zapped into another portal into a different time. Now, does that make sense to you? Yeah. To me, I think it's the explanation of it. But they said every time through history, when the civilization would get to that point, we'd have to destroy it. And then we had to start all over again. They would leave a few survivors to begin again, erase all the knowledge that they had. Now, some of them were not erased, that went to Egypt, and they're the ones that built up the pyramids. But they had to start all over again from scratch. They said it was almost like they blew a fuse, and they couldn't allow the humans to continue that way. Let's just shut it down and start all over. But every time, look at the amount of time that had to be building up the civilization again and again and again. We are now approaching that point where we're at the same level. Psychic abilities are being brought back. Everything is happening. The mind is growing. We're learning more. We are reaching the point where we could be at the height that these other civilizations were. They don't want to have to destroy it and start all over again. But if we were foolish enough to get to that point, they would have to do it.
Oye, pero se está metiendo al mar. Ajá, se están metiendo. No manches, allá hay otro. Ese está arriba, por arriba, ¿viste? Sí, se va por arriba. ¿Dónde salen? El agua, velo. ¿Pero de dónde salen? Está echando humo.
Ahí viene otro, mira. Lo están grabando. Están viniendo para acá, güey. Ya no vamos a morir, ya no vamos a morir.
Oye, ¿qué onda? No manches.
Y es espalda. ¿Sabes qué? ¿Sabes qué? Es la nueva arma nuclear de... ¡Ahí hay otro, mira! De Pepín, güey. Mira esa madre, y así es nada más así. ¿Lo estás grabando tú?
Sí, lo estoy grabando.
¿Ves?
This is totally unreal. that this happened like in 1942 on this planet. Extraterrestrial come from who knows where out in the galaxy. Germany gets to be the country that these Draco reptilians pick out to do two types of missions. One, to remove all of the people that Hitler didn't want in his country, and every one of them around the planet. Two, to take every man, woman, and child on this planet and put them in slave factories, men, women, and children, to build and construct all these different types of Draco Navy space battle group ships. This may sound like insanity. This is what happened.
He had concluded from what these insiders were telling him that the Germans had actually made treaties with a highly aggressive and highly negative reptilian humanoid race that they've called the Saurians or the Draco. This treaty involved the Nazis actually being given workable technology that is built with our own conventional systems. They use a sort of mercury turbine, or type of mercury called red mercury. And then they are actually able to leave the Earth. They had a settlement on the moon, they had a settlement on Mars, and they were doing this stuff as early as 1939, even before World War II actually started. As you can imagine, everybody was thinking he was crazy, but yet these insiders were reporting literally standing there, in which you have 8-foot tall, even 12 to 14 foot tall reptilian extraterrestrials, terrifying in appearance, they smell bad, actually advising the Germans on how to build this stuff in these various bases, including that in Antarctica.
Operation High Jump was an operation commissioned in 1947 that was led by Admiral Richard Byrd. And on the public level, it was said that this was a scientific exploration. But what happened was that this operation was commissioned with 33 ships, 13 aircraft, and 5,000 men. Now, this was not a scientific exploration with that many men and that many ships. What Operation High Jump actually was commissioned for was to go down to Antarctica and basically root out the Nazi installations that they had built pre and during World War II. The DC flyover was an event that occurred over successive weekends in July of 1952 in Washington, DC. And what had happened was that there was a mass sighting right over the Capitol building in Washington, DC. There was many lights in the sky. Now, many people believe that this was a UFO or an extraterrestrial incident, but in fact it was not. It was German saucers, German craft that were flying over the Capitol building and essentially forcing the hand of the Americans to accept many of these Nazi scientists into their control structures. When many of these Nazi scientists came into America after World War II in Operation Paperclip, they infiltrated into basically every power structure in the United States, government, media, medical systems, basically everything. After World War II, James Forrestal went to Germany to tour many of the research facilities that the Germans had over in Europe, and John F. Kennedy actually accompanied him on those tours. Some believe that Kennedy was actually given information by Forrestal about secret space programs and the UFO phenomenon. And near the end of James Forrestal's career, he was also embroiled in many policy struggles within the United States government. He wanted to disclose the UFO phenomenon and the technologies associated with it. It was said that he committed suicide by jumping out of a high-rise hospital that he was staying in at the time of his death. But of course, many people are also believing that he was actually pushed out of the window and in fact assassinated to prevent him from working to disclose these technologies in UFO.
Man abandons car during UFO chase when object approaches. Notice the green light coming from the craft. It appears to be scanning the car. Oh yeah, for sure. Y'all see that? Hold on. Let me pause this for y'all so I can minimize it a little bit so y'all can see it all in the same frame. Look at that. Scanning the vehicle. That looks like the craft that I seen. Facts.
The reptilian hybrids have been known to shapeshift temporarily into their reptilian form. So that's happened with 3 of them whom I know about. One of them, a beautiful hybrid living in England, her name is Charmaine. The way that she got confirmation that she is a hybrid was having an encounter with some of her reptilian extraterrestrials, and she has encounters with other types as well, and genetics from other types. But in one encounter when she was about age 27 with her reptilian extraterrestrials, they helped her to shapeshift into her total, pure reptilian form.
And she can do
And
that,
she
goes
did.
back and forth?
And she can go back and forth as she pleases. Mostly she's human.
Yeah.
And but when she shapeshifted into her reptilian form, she was absolutely delighted. Now, most of us might be rather horrified at the thought, but she was delighted because she had always felt some reptilian in her.
Oh my God, what on earth is going on?
July 1st.
Oh my God, it's coming apart.
Parachutes with what on them though? Wow.
No.
Is it people on them?
I feel like they're actual. Whoa.
Areas where I was put into a clean room, if you know what a clean room is, has a drain in the middle of the floor where you can dissect somebody and you just hose everything down when you're done. It's called a clean room. And I knew that there was some reptilian doctors that was on the other side of the door, but there was a platform evidently above the window I was working at, and there was humans up there, and there was, I don't know why they was pushing them off. It seemed like low gravity, and as they was falling, these things was coming out of the wall that looked like electrical conduit, and it would jab them each side of the leg and the inner side and suck all the fluid out of them. And they would look like mummies as they was coming down, but they was coming down all the way to the floor, and they had the shorter reptilian guys down there, and they was throwing the bodies into these burners, and they had this thing on the ceiling. It was like half moon shaped, silver, and it would go over to a pile of bodies and pick them up, vacuum them up, or whatever it was doing. I don't know how it was, probably vacuuming them up, and it would carry it over a batch of bodies over closer to a burner, and they had these the short reptilian guys just throwing the bodies and they're burning it up. It's that was kind of disturbing.
Kind of.